I finally got myself a greenhouse. It is so good to finally have one. It's a bit small, but it will do for me. Trust me, I will take what I can get. But oh wow, this was one of the worst gardening experiences I've ever had in my life. It was a pain to put together. I've got to say, the atmosphere in here is fantastic. Listen to that rain. Now, the problem I had with building this was that it was a pretty cheap knockoff online of other greenhouses that I've seen in the UK and the USA under different brands. And it's like they've copied the design, but the instructions are very poorly. Well, the instructions are there and they're okay, but unfortunately, they're in very bad order. And what I mean by that was when constructing this, we went through the book first and had a look and said, that's really odd, but you know what? We'll just follow the book and do what they say. Unfortunately, they got us to build the ends, these ends here, without the door, and the other end down the back, without any roof structure, any sidewall structure, nothing. So they had us make this frame of poles that were standing up at the back, at the front, and then they got us to slide the polycarbonate into them. So we did that. Now, we actually put silicon down the inside of all the metal strips. So we've got silicon on the inside where the polycarbonate goes, just for stopping air from getting in and out, plus hopefully helping with the temperature, and of course, helping the polycarbonate stay firm in those metal uprights. So they've got us to make the ends first, with the polycarbonate sitting in it, freestanding, no support at all. So can you imagine something like a polycarbonate wall, 6 foot across, sitting by itself, just like this? I mean, you could breathe and it started wobbling, and we were so worried that the upright bars were going to bend at the bottom and it'd just ruin this thing. So we were getting string and rope, whatever we could find, and we were tying it off against the poles to the passion fruit and the side gate to the laundry area of the house. You name it. We were trying to tie these things up to stop them from going like this, which we did. So that was not going to do, because any wind that came along was really going to shake these, even though we had them sort of supported a little bit by rope, but it wasn't good enough. So what we did was we made sure that we got these side railings here on both sides from front to back and got those joined as soon as we could. And then that gave it that sort of box shape and made it a bit more stable. But man, the instructions are crazy. The door over here is just a crazy concoction of things that we had to bend ourselves because holes didn't match and things like that. It was just a nightmare. It took us 3 days, 2 full days and a third day where my son had so much stuff to do and he had to catch up on things. And thankfully he came out with me until 8 o'clock at night to get it pretty much done. Now, I've got to point out that my son was a huge help with this. I mean, huge. With my mental illness, and just quickly, if you don't know, I pretty much don't go out. I've rarely left the house in the last 6 years. I've got depression, anxiety, PTSD, stuff like that. So building things like this and following instructions and stuff like that, it's pressure, intense pressure. And I really need to thank my son, who came out and kept me calm and guided me along the way a long way from start to finish. I could not have done it without him, and I've already thanked him so much. But again, thank you so much, because it's been a dream to have something like this, and I've got it. Now, another problem we had with building this is I've got a system for the entire thing where all these metal parts, they have slots in them, and you've got to get the head of a bolt, and you've got to drop it into that slot, and then the bolt pokes out through the gap, and then you line up your other metal part against that, and then you've got to try and get that bolt through and then screw onto that and tighten it. That's fine and everything, but they've made the gap so tight that it's frustrating trying to turn the head of the bolt to get it to go down into that gap. And especially when you get down into little corners or where they've got bolts opposite each other or on corners like this, it is so fiddly and so hard to do. And that was one of the most frustrating parts of this, other than them having us do things in the wrong order. What I'm going to do later when I have the money, I've already priced it and looked at all the measurements and costs, It's going to be $179 in current money to buy all the timber. And then what I'll do is I'm going to do a base all the way around that's going to be about 2 foot high. And then in the corners, I'm going to have upright posts, probably a 2x4 sort of thing, outdoor timber. And I'm going to have 4 of those sunk into the soil in cement. And they'll come right up and they'll support fence palings. And then it'll be a square. The greenhouse goes on top of that. And then with those uprights, the greenhouse, I'll then drill that into those 4 uprights. Then that way, it's going to raise this by a couple of feet. It's going to give me more head clearance. And my bananas that I'm growing in here, my miniature bananas, they'll be able to have more height to grow in the greenhouse. And hopefully, if I've got it right, they can grow their entire life in here, in this greenhouse, in the nice, warm, humid area that they'll like, with plenty of sun coming in over the trees. My pineapples, I made a little custom bench here, and I've got some old greenhouse material from the old $20 plastic greenhouse that blew apart, and I save everything as much as I can for later use. You never know. And I've put that on top like a tablecloth. Now that catches any water that runs off the pots, and it just goes over onto the ground where I've got weed mat, where there's a grassed area under here. As far as positioning goes, I've picked this area against the house. It's going to get the warmth off the wall, off the side of the house. And it's here because I've got the forest behind me, and in winter the sun goes down low, and there's gaps in the trees where the sun travels, and I can get some direct sunlight through those trees, and again in the evening. And this spot here, out of all of my yard, pretty much gets the most sunlight over the winter period. So it's here for a reason. Unfortunately, I've got a cement path that runs along the back of the house, so I've had to have it sit here, half on the cement path, half on grass, and then I've got a weed mat down to suppress the grass. So it's not actually technically level because the cement is slightly sloped for any water runoff, but that's fine. It's a temporary measure. I've got it pinned down with massive, and I mean massive, tent pegs. They're probably about that long and probably, I'd say that thick. And I've got a couple in each corner. I've got some more slightly smaller ones. When it stops raining, they'll be going down as well for extra support. I've got stacks of bricks at the moment in the other corners here, just holding that down. So it's looking okay. I don't think it's going to blow away or blow apart. So I'm happy with it, and I guess you get what you pay for, and I definitely got what I paid for. So anyway, I've got my pineapples in here. My pineapples can grow in this nice climate here with the light, with the warmth, humidity. I've got potatoes down on the ground in a grow bag that can finally come in out of the frost. Of course, my banana plants, I've actually got to divide them up. I've got so many bananas here. I think there's probably about 20 or so that won't fit in here. So I'm going to have to make a decision about that. Yeah, and then once I get organised, I can start bringing in a few more things, such as seedlings and stuff like that I've got going. I've got peas and carrots and broccoli, collie, cabbages. I don't know. I've got a whole bunch of things going at the moment, starting to germinate. So once they really kick in, I'm going to bring them in here, and I can put them on this table. And I might make another... Well, actually, what I'm going to do is I'm also, with those wood cross beams that I'm going to do, they'll be joining the uprights, and I can make shelving come out from those uprights and the cross beams. So yeah, I'll get a bit more shelving in here that's out of the way, away from me, where I can freely move around here. As you can see, I've got my little solar light here. This charges up during the day with the solar panel, and then if I'm stuck in here in the evening and it starts to get dark, the lights come on, and then I've got it hanging on a string here. So if I need to, I can just pick it up and put it over on the bench and have it working in front of me, and I can finish what I'm doing. Thankfully, the vented area is perfect. It's got a perfect seal, so I'm really happy about that. Nothing gets in or out of this seal here, which is really good. So I have to admit, they've done a good job there. It's great being in here with this rain, because now I can look around and see if there's any leaks, and at the moment I can't see a thing, which is really good. So yeah, I'll come out with some silicone, and I'll just go around, and if I can see any little gaps or cracks and joins, I'll fill up those with silicone. But it's looking pretty good. I can see a gap in the corner over there, a tiny one. I'll plug that. But yeah, other than dodgy instructions and a frustrating screw-in system, it's finally done. Happy days. I finally got a greenhouse. Finally. But oh man, it was so hard to build. It was crazy. I've got to say the atmosphere in here is fantastic, especially now with the rain pitter-pattering, I don't know, you know what I mean? The rain on the roof. It's cold outside, but it's warm and muggy in here. It's just awesome. It's mid-afternoon. Yeah, I just wanted to finally show you what my son and I did. My videos just aren't getting the views they should be, and you can help me by clicking that like button, subscribing, watching the videos on the screen right now. That'd be fantastic. I do appreciate it. Thank you so much for being here, and hopefully I'll see you in the next cooking or gardening video. Bye for now.